All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Casual Nonsense. I'm Marc, your host. Today, I have the pleasure of being with a good friend of mine, Mr. Tim.
Yo, yo.
How's it going today, Tim?
Doing all right, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, man. Listen, the first thing I got to mention here is you showed up today with the Giants shirt on. This is not a New York house.
Well, man, I knew I was coming to your house, and I knew I had to get under your skin a little bit. How else to start a show other than to get you all riled up with emotion? So I'm wearing my Odell Beckham, number 13 jersey, greatest wide receiver in the Northeast.
I'll be honest, I didn't recognize the number, but now that you mentioned his name, I believe he met with the Patriots this week. How do you feel about that?
Tom Brady's not there anymore, so I doubt he's interested in playing for Mac Jones. But
I think he's interested in whatever paycheck is coming his way. His next check. Nice. Anyways, so Tim, listen, you and I go back, I don't know how many years, but we'll just say a bunch, right? So
2015, I want to say.
You got the exact year. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But listen, so we met. We worked at a tech company. We were, IT support.
Yep.
Right. And
Those days sucked.
Phone jobs, man.
Phone
jobs are no good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you're here today, and is this your first podcast? Have you been on podcasts before?
Man, a lot of people have come to me in the past asking me to be on podcasts for different topics, things that they thought I would be interesting about, things that they thought I'd be knowledgeable about. And I've always been a bit non-committal. This is the first time that someone's approached me, and I've been really excited. Like, I want to be on this.
Good.
And the name says it, casual nonsense. There's no pressure to, have to be an expert on something or to have to, be a source of truth on something. Don't hold me to that. I just want to talk trash and be nonsense. So.
Well, you come to the right place. You come to the right place.
I feel at home. By the way, I love your setup here. This is an awesome room. You have awesome equipment in here. This is pretty awesome. For my first podcast experience, you've 2 thumbs up.
I appreciate that. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
I got some blankets hanging on the wall. We're gonna update those as time permits.
Yeah.
Right. So just to give a little background on you. So you're, and this is gonna sound kind of corny, but you're one of my favorite people.
I'm touched.
And because we, because we have a friendly rivalry that doesn't go beyond just that.
Mm-hmm.
We had a Super Bowl party a bunch of years back, and again, you showed up in a Giants jersey
Every time.
So at least you're consistent. I'll give you that. And if you're not sure, I am from New England, so that's my team. But anyways,
Sorry about that.
So I enjoy having you around because we always have good conversations about a lot of things.
Always.
I feel like you always find a way to challenge me, like in a positive way, and you just got me thinking about more things that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise. So I appreciate you, and I'm glad that I could be your first podcast, and I'm happy to have you here as my first podcast.
Yeah, thank you, man. This means a lot to me. Like you said, we met a long time ago in the galaxy far away. Back in those days, doing IT support on the phone, working really is just a number. We were just a number in a line, and our names and our skills and our passions didn't really matter. But what really brought me joy in those times are the people around me. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a people person. I'm an extrovert, and I tend to gravitate to other people who are warm and friendly and welcoming. And some of those people tend to stick and to last for a long time. So that tends to be the case with Marc and myself. We sat across from each other, a cubicle across, and we worked the same shift. And what else do we talk about besides sports?
Well, I can say this about you, though, Tim, is that you, it's probably true, you gravitate to others similar to you. You're a guy that I could dump in a room where you don't know anybody, and you're coming out of there with 5 besties.
Yeah.
You got Instagram names, you know what I mean?
To a fault.
To a fault for sure, right? But, also, you never know. Like, you're a networker, and I think sometimes that can be very impressive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty cool, man, because not everyone can do that. Like, I tell myself that's something I'd love to do. Mm-hmm. But then if I get myself in that situation, like, I'd rather just throw up and not do it.
Yeah, it's natural to me. I actually feel uncomfortable when there's a person in the room who has a hard time talking or it's a hard time opening up. It I don't know what it is. It's uncomfortable, especially when, this may be getting a little off topic, but especially when it's out of character for you. Like, I expect people to be.
Well, it's the good thing. We don't have a topic. So you're right on point.
God, I expect people to be courteous and kind. If we're in a room and there's nothing else to do, then we're relational beings. We're intended to relate to other people. So even if we don't have the same interests, the same hobbies, just your presence alone, your aura alone, should make you want to lean into me. And so I feel very comfortable with being in a room. If you put me in a room with a bunch of strangers, I will thrive. I will make friends because I'm biologically designed to do that.
Yeah, I can vouch for that for sure.
Yeah.
And not everyone is made up like that.
Yeah.
So keep being you. Don't stop doing that, regardless.
Comes with some perks, though. I met some really cool people and built some really cool connections, and and I've gotten some really great opportunities come up because of the result of that.
That's awesome. So you are married?
Yeah, I'm married to one wife. And
okay, so not from Utah. We got that. Okay,
married to one wife, and I have a son, a junior, Tim Jr. He is 7 years old, turning 8 soon. I've been married for 5 years, so I guess that gives it away. I was married before as well.
Okay,
but I've been married for 5 years. I've known my wife for 16 years. 16. Yeah, going on 17.
You better know. You can pinpoint the day when we hung out.
Yep.
You better know the day you and her hung out.
Going on 17 this year. We met in college. She was only there for a semester, ironically. It's crazy how the world works. She was there for one semester, and it was right around the time when Facebook started becoming a thing. And although she wasn't there long, we added each other as friends, and we remained friends throughout that time. And over the years, it went from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram to Snapchat, and we just, I know it's a girl I know from Facebook, it's a girl I know from Instagram, I know from Twitter. And one day she posted this picture looking, pretty nice and pretty pleasant to the eyes, and I decided to give a gentleman's comment, a little emoji with the heart eyes, and she responded positively to it. And we were long distance at the time, but I happened to be in her city shortly after that, and we went on a date, kicked it off, and that girl who I met 16 years ago, a semester at college, ended up being my life partner. And
that's awesome.
Now we're going on 5 years now, and it's been a great ride.
That almost sounds like a John Cusack movie, So maybe reserve the rights to something like that. That could be something like that. That's awesome, though, man.
Pay me, pay me for my story.
It's gonna be cool to have that story, right? So now you always have that. How did you meet story? Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if mine is quite as exciting, so we'll do that another time. But that's cool. I like that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And thank you. I mean, honestly, your marriage, and I know you said we're going to this another time, but you're watching you guys and interacting with you guys now for the past 7 years, almost 8 years. You guys are a strong couple, and I really enjoy being around you and watching you guys grow. And I've learned a lot and taken a lot of cues from you guys, how you relate to one another, how you relate to your children, how you relate to others, and you're definitely one of the inspirations for my marriage. So thank you on behalf of me and my wife.
Cool. See, so I'm going to make sure my wife hears this because, basically what you said is that I'm 50% right. Right. So
what it is Stacy's like 80% right, and you're 20% right, and that 80% makes up for where you lack.
You know what? Those numbers check out. Actually, that's probably more accurate. We'll go with that because that's how things last long.
Yeah,
is because I don't really care about the percentages.
Take the L. You take the L for them to get the win.
Yep, they're absolutely right. Nice. So cool, man. So you're married. You got a boy. So I can't get past the shirt. So this just leads me into football. Did you watch Super Bowl? Of course you watched Super Bowl.
Man, it was crazy. I was in Florida, Fort Myers, Florida, for a funeral, and they chose to put the funeral on the same day as the Super Bowl. So the funeral was at 10 a.m. and black funerals tend to drag. And so I'm thinking, okay, 10 a.m., let's say it goes 2 hours, which is already long. We'll go
worst case, you're out of there by 2.
Yeah, we'll go to the burial, repast. I can be out of there by 2 o'clock. Why is it 1:50 and the funeral's not done yet? So we go to the burial, finish that, and I skip the repast, and I just book it because we're going to Orlando, which is 3 hours away. I get to Orlando about 6:15. Super Bowl started or when did Super Bowl start? 6:30, 6:15.
In that range, yeah.
Either way, I was 15 minutes late. I missed the national anthem.
Yeah,
I missed all the opening stuff and missed some of the commercials. But I got there. I made it, and my guy Patrick Mahomes won. I like Jalen Hurts too. I'm an Alabama fan, so I like to root for Alabama.
Okay.
Devontae Smith, those guys. But they're wearing green and white, and I hate everything that is in the NFC East other than the Giants.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was my thoughts too because I didn't really care who won. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I low key, I think I was probably rooting for the Eagles a little bit, only because I do like Jalen Hurts. I think he's got a lot of skill as a.
Weren't they the last team to beat you in Super Bowl?
It's very possible. It's very possible. But that's okay. It wasn't Jalen Hurts, so
no.
I don't hold any ill will towards him.
Yeah.
But
yes, I watched the Super Bowl.
Okay, good. I watched it as well. I watched it by myself. Some of the commercials I enjoyed, so I didn't care. We had some food.
I was really underwhelmed by the commercials this year. Honestly, the only one that really stood out to me that I'm still talking about to this day was a Tubi commercial where it looked like they changed the channel on the game.
Everyone was freaking out about that.
I knew it was a commercial right away, but I was like, this is so clever. This is so original.
It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I dug it.
But other than that, the commercials, there's been better commercials in the past.
Yeah. I didn't mind the Will Ferrell one too, the electric vehicle Will Ferrell one. That was pretty good because this is the thing, right? With these celebrities now is that they're able to, like, they're not just making movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're in TV shows, they're streamings, they're doing commercials, and I love that. The problem with that is celebrities are also doing podcasts, right? So how can we compete as a new podcaster over here? How can I compete if you have a choice? And I guess you have choice to listen to 1,000 podcasts. Yep. But if you're like, hey, I'm going to listen to this nobody I know named Marc with nobody else I know named Tim,
yep.
Or do I want to listen to someone famous or someone who's bringing in other celebrities?
Right.
I listened to one, they were just interviewing Steven Spielberg, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'd listen to Steven Spielberg over me too. So it's just not fair. It's not fair.
It was a big controversy. The social media site OnlyFans had a big controversy. I think it was a year or two ago when it was a platform for amateur content creators to go on and sell their content to their fans, and it was getting really big, and a lot of people like you and
said
I
to sell it to their fans,
sell their content to their fans,
like not for money, like sell it, like, hey, yeah.
You sell a subscription. You can follow me. You can buy videos that I put out there.
Okay.
Regardless of the type of content this is.
Okay.
And it became very big for the sex worker industry. A lot of people who weren't big porn stars and didn't have contracts with some adult entertainment agency could just go put a video out there, and they had a ton of fans on there. And then celebrities like Bella Thorne and Amber Rose, who already have massive followings, decide, okay, I'm going to create an account. And not only did they create an account, but they abused some of the terms and conditions of the platform, which now made it harder for regular people. So the idea of these celebrities who already have massive followings coming into a space that was really designed for the everyday person like you and me to get some notability, it really ends up harming us in the end, unfortunately.
It sounds like you're bitter because your adult video didn't last long.
I heard this from a friend. I
know a guy.
I know a guy who knows a guy who told me that he once had a website. So yeah,
nice. That's the best way to go.
But yeah, despite that, I think this is an important space. I think that there's a lot that people need to hear outside of from celebrities and from notable figures. We have to remember that these celebrities are just normal people. They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you and me do.
Yeah.
They may be well-versed on a certain topic. Kyrie Irving, I love to watch him play basketball. I don't necessarily want to hear him talk about geography. So,
Well, okay, so that's what I was going to say, something like that too, because, I don't need to turn on the news and listen to, George Clooney telling me his thoughts on the president, because I didn't ask for that.
Right.
But if I turn on a podcast with a celebrity, like I'm a big Jason Bateman fan,
mm-hmm.
right? So I'm going to listen to his podcast because I choose to listen to him and what his thoughts are, because he doesn't take himself too seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to me that is important. So that's essentially what this podcast is too. So I think I gave you sort of a rundown of what we're going for here, but just like now, we're talking about a whole lot of nothing. So that's what I enjoy about it. Hopefully, we just want to try to entertain a little bit.
And Jason Bateman, if you're listening, please make another season of Ozark, please.
It ended pretty well, though. I assume you're caught up and everything.
I hated that. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Turn us off for a second. I hated that she died in the end.
Yeah.
I loved her, Ruth. She's a great actress. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a great character in that, in that show
100%.
altogether.
100%.
We might have to do like an Ozark recap show.
Yeah.
So maybe this will be your application for such a show that we'll do.
I wasn't even trying to watch it. We have this thing where my wife will. We have shows that we watch together, and then there are shows that she watches on her own. And she tries to watch them while I'm around and to get me sucked in. I'm like, no, I don't need any new shows. I watch enough shows. I need to be productive. Exactly. Yeah. And then she'll put it on, and then I'll be washing the dishes, or I'll be going grabbing a snack, and I'll see a scene like, ooh, that looks good.
You fall for it every time.
Right. And next thing I know, I'm sucked in. So I started watching Ozark at season 2, and I had to go back to watch it over again. I was like, nah, this show is one of the best shows of all time.
Absolutely.
It's not Breaking Bad, but it's up there.
The thing... God, we're definitely going off the train here. But the thing, I love Breaking Bad the first time through, but I don't find that as I'm not going to sit and watch Breaking Bad again. They're hour-long episodes.
Oh, you're crazy.
It was really well done, but I can't. Was there 6 or 7 seasons or something in there? That's a big commitment.
I've watched like 3 times.
Have you really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you can commit to it.
Oh no, that's the greatest TV show of all time to me. And the only show that came close was Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones could have. If they had ended it properly, they would have surpassed Breaking Bad as the greatest show of all time, but they fumbled the bag in the 8th season. Actually, watching it again, because I used to criticize the 7th and 8th season, but I liked the 7th season. The 8th season, I didn't hate it. It didn't end perfectly. And so, for that reason, Breaking Bad will always be the greatest show of all time.
Well, the problem is that you give how many seasons in a row, and I'm going on Game of Thrones here for a minute because, again, we just store right off the cliff. All this build up to Jon Snow's heritage,
right?
Only you did nothing with it.
Meant nothing
at all.
Yeah.
And so there's a little disappointing. And it's in defense of the name Game of Thrones and the brand that is Game of Thrones, that wasn't the author that that wrote that. The producers or the whatever, they just kind of said, we're going to end this. Because at the time, I don't know if you knew this, but at the time, they had just signed on to do a Star Wars trilogy, right? So I'm pretty sure, this is just a fan assumption. I'm going to conspiracy theory this, but I think they were kind of checked out. They were done doing Game of Thrones. They did it for a long time. They were probably burnt out from it, from their perspective, which I don't understand because it was their complete cash cow, right? And they end up messing up the final season.
Yep.
They lost the Star Wars trilogy, probably because of that. I'm not sure of all the details. Like I said, I'm speculating on all of this, but it's unfortunate because if they crushed Game of Thrones and you end it the way it started, I mean, you pick your project and someone's giving you money.
I'm not even going to blame them all the way. I'm going to blame George R.R. Martin, who's been writing that book for the past 10 years.
That's fair too.
Right. At some point you run out of source material and you have to just wing it. It's not like they have producers or writers who are as creative and can create a whole world like George R.R. Martin did. A little bit of a segue, and I don't want to go too far from this topic yet, but Marvel, for example, doesn't go strictly to the source material. Marvel is taking liberties everywhere to create, but that's because they have genius brains who can do something completely different from what the source material did, and it still be interesting, and people still are captured by it. We didn't have that with Game of Thrones, and we were truly dependent on the wealth of context and background that George R.R. Martin gave us, and then he just stopped giving it to us.
That's fair. And the thing with Marvel is that you have the comic books,
right?
So you have the source material. So I'm sure true comic book fans are gonna, could probably argue the point that a lot of the movie material doesn't follow the comic books well enough. And I'm not a comic book. I'm not a deep dive comic book reader.
Right.
Like I've read some. I've I got more involved since the movies came out because I wanted to know the backstories. I wanted to know the side things.
Right.
So I'm more of we'll call it a fair-weathered comic book fan.
That's fair.
But it's nice to have that availability. Like you said, there's no Game of Thrones comic series that's been out, that can go back and say, oh, well, how come they didn't do this storyline or this series that ran for a couple years. This would be a good spinoff, and that's what you get with Marvel. That's what you get, I dare say, with DC. You know, but you have those opportunities to provide some sort of information.
Well, the good thing that Game of Thrones did do that shows like Ozark and shows like Breaking Bad aren't going to be able to do. They have endless spin-offs because they literally created a world. Whereas Ozark and Breaking Bad, they take place in our world. You know, Breaking Bad takes place in our Albuquerque,
you didn't
New
watch
Mexico.
Better Call Saul?
They can. I'm saying they're limited in how many they can do.
Okay.
They can do like a prequel or something like that, but they're very limited. And it's just the nature of, like it's all fiction, but it's not sci-fi. Like they created a whole world. There's no Westeros. There's no Essos. Whatever's west of Westeros that Arya said.
That's a whole new show.
Wait, we can make it up.
Yeah,
we can decide that now, right? Breaking Bad is limited in what they'll be able to do. Again, Better Call Saul, great show, probably the best spinoff of all time. No, I take that back.
It's good though.
It's a very good spinoff though.
I love that.
Sorry, I was getting a little carried away there, but it was a very good spinoff. Ozark, they could do a spinoff. They could do a. I thought they should have done something with the lawyer, the one that got shot in the head. Sorry, spoiler alert again. But they could have done something with her. I thought she had a good story, to be honest. But anyway,
but it was a good original. To get back to Ozark, which,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not even sure what started before that, but
Jason Bateman.
you know, a
Watch the
good.
show.
There you go. It was a good original story.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, like those are the stories that are awesome these days.
Yeah.
You know, because if they're that good, then you're going to get a fan following, and I don't know. I don't want to say like a respect level, but that's kind of what it comes down to. Where you know, I love some Marvel, I love some Star Wars. You know, but I don't want to see like there is a burnout factor where you're just going to regurgitate the same stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm looking forward to seeing more original movies, if you will.
Yeah.
And not just sequels or remakes or whatever.
That's
you know
fair.
what I mean? So
There's a world for both.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch the NBA All-Star game?
If you want to call it that, there were NBA All-Stars there. It wasn't much of a game. I tried to watch all the events of the weekend, but I was pretty swamped with traveling. I did catch the dunk contest and the three-point shootout, mostly because they are New York Knicks players. And for those who don't know, I'm a New York Knicks fan. Go Knicks. It's a good year to be a Knicks fan. But we had Julius Randle in the three-point shootout, and we had Jericho Sims in the slam dunk contest. Neither of them won. But it was nice to see us participate. And we had Julius Randle also in the All-Star game. Jalen Brunson was probably the most notable snub this year out of anybody. He absolutely should have been an All-Star. But but it was a lot of reasons for me to watch. I tried to watch as much as I could.
You know, part of the whole festivities and my thoughts is that, and this is where the NBA is, and we could, again, this could be a whole other segment, but you know, the players in the NBA today, like you're not going to see big name players in a dunk contest these days. You don't get
Shame.
MJ versus Dominique,
Right.
You know, and the reason is, you know, you get these like the kid that won, like he scored more points in the dunk contest.
Not
than he
even in
has.
the NBA.
Right. He's a G League guy, right?
Right.
So, I mean, good for him. Like, that's awesome for him because now he's probably going to get a sneaker.
Who said white man can't jump?
Yeah, he can do it now. But, you know, he did good because he didn't miss any dunks. But you get people that have missed dunks and you're getting kind of laughed at or whatever. So it's unfortunate because I missed the days with MJ and Bird in the three-point contest. And
We can go sooner than that. We can go to Vince Carter and Kobe Bryant.
Well, Vince was the last pure dunker, right? I mean, VC was exactly what he says he is. He was Vinsanity. You know what I mean? Like he was awesome. I don't know how
about
good
like Aaron Gordon and Blake Griffin. They weren't real dunkers.
they were dunkers, but I don't know. They didn't have the same flash to me. I think it kind of Vince
And they
Carter
were stars
was
at the time.
stars, yes, but I don't know. There's something about a dunker's mentality. I don't when I look at Vince Carter, I'm like, well, that's a guy that gets to the rim, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
Like if he's not doing that, he's not doing his job.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon is sitting back popping threes. Like he can dunk and he'll get some good dunks in, but
You know, your point. There's guys like Ja Morant, Russell Westbrook, LeBron, freaking James.
yeah.
I think it's really a shame. It's a disservice to the fans. It's a disservice,
It
and I think it's in an attempt to keep their image clean, because you don't want to be the guy who's like taking crazy dunks in game, but then you can't win a dunk contest because then that brings you shame.
Well, you saw it in in the All-Star game. So I don't know. Like I didn't really watch the game. I watched some highlights. Because my boy Jason Tatum was MVP. I don't know if you caught that.
I saw.
Okay. Plays for Boston.
I like the kid.
Right? Okay.
You need to get him out of Boston.
So there was a highlight of like LeBron had like threw the ball around someone's back off the backboard, caught it and jammed it. So like he has the skill to do it.
Of course.
Right. When he's not sitting out for a game.
Even at 38 years old.
Right.
However old he is.
Right. Like he's got the skills, and it's unfortunate. But again, that's a whole other topic, I think, with the state of the NBA.
Yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, they made some adjustments a few years ago to get the game to be more interesting. The whole try to win quarters, and at the end of it, you try to reach a target score. It was competitive for the first 2 years. I want to say it was pretty competitive, but this year it just really fell flat.
Well, they're trying, and I'll give them credit for that. But I mean, people go to the All-Star game because you want to see the marquee players, and if you get there and you have G League players. Like, what if you bought tickets to the dunk contest day, and I mean, you don't know any of the names?
Yeah.
Maybe it's fun, maybe it's not. I don't know, but it's like,
But at least they have time to know ahead of time. Like, oh, none of the guys are going to be in the dunk contest. I'm not going to go to the dunk contest. There's a huge problem right now in the NBA, and people are talking about it a lot. It's getting a lot of press about how much players are sitting out of games. Could you imagine? I'm going to San Francisco next week, and the Warriors are playing the Clippers. There's a lot of star power.
Yep.
I know already that Steph Curry's not playing because he's injured, but there's a lot of other stars: Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. The list goes on and on.
Yep.
If I go to that game and they decide we're going to rest our starters today, do you know how mad I would be?
You could be ripping mad.
Oh my God!
Right, at the price of tickets that you get. No, and I agree. I mean,
I understand that the players, we have more knowledge now about how players can preserve their bodies. These athletes put themselves through hell, and their bodies break down over time. In the NFL, we see it all the time with the CTE. The players have more knowledge of what they need to do to preserve themselves. And 82 games, maybe it is too much. Maybe we've been killing them for it's a long season.
Yeah.
October to June is a long season.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not in that physically fit state. So I'd be sitting out a lot more games, but
you're on your way. I see you.
Yeah. But these guys, I think for, the argument as a fan, everything you just said, right? If you have a brand, I don't want to just pick on LeBron James because that's a whole show on its own. But if you're LeBron James and that's your brand, and people come to see you play, like, don't you want that little kid in the audience who got, his parents scrounged together the money, bring him to the game, and you're sitting on the bench? There was a video where he was sat in a timeout, he's yawning, and I'm like, maybe he's just done playing. I don't know. I don't know him. I'm not going to interview him ever. But it's just unfortunate because the optics from where I'm sitting is like, well, and again, I'm going to compare it to Michael Jordan. He didn't sit out. He was a competitor. He didn't switch teams because he lost one year. He went the offseason and worked harder, and said, I'm going to stay on the same team and I'm going to win on that same team. And I know it's a different game now.
Different time.
It is a different time. So you get the free agents, but
Clyde Drexler switched teams, won a championship in Houston. So
that's we're not talking about Clyde Drexler.
We would never be talking about Clyde Drexler
no, exactly.
if he never did that.
So it is a different game, but I want to try to look at it both ways, and it's hard because as when you grow up in the 80s and 90s watching these athletes, and then you see them now, and I don't want to use the term prima donna, but that's what I get out of it. Is just they're babied more, they're pampered more. Now, if I'm an owner of a team and my superstar says I need to sit out 5 to 10 games so that I'm healthy for the playoffs, I'm letting them sit out. Because it's a business.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's easy for me to judge. But if I'm that player rather, and you have fans that follow you and come to see you play, like you're there. I guess you're not there just for them, but they're a major part of what. Like they're buying your sneakers, they're buying your shirts, your jerseys. So I don't know.
You got to start adding incentives to the contracts. You're not guaranteed. Not saying that you have, you get paid on a per game basis, but there should be some incentives to playing more games than not.
Well, they do that in football.
Yeah.
Not for games necessarily, but some people have incentive contracts. I think baseball does it similar as well. If you don't have so many at bats, and I think they started doing that with some injury prone players. So if someone is injury prone, then they say, well, if you can make it through the season, we'll pay you. But if not, it's in intervals.
Right.
So,
Now, I mean, they have some stuff. They have, well, it's different, but they have incentives for like if you make the NBA All-Star game or if you make All NBA or something like that.
Okay.
There's some incentives there, but I don't know that. I'm all for player empowerment. The reality is we're not going there to see James Dolan or whoever the owners are.
Right.
The owner of the Knicks and the Rangers. But no one's going there to see him. No matter how much money he has, nobody cares about him. They care about the players. The players will always be the draw, and players know that. And now how do we get them to care? And I'm not going to put it all like Kawhi Leonard gets a lot of flack. He's like the poster boy. Him and Anthony Davis are the poster boys for missing games.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you have to do with your body to keep yourself in shape? Maybe stop giving these guys max contracts that can't stay healthy. All the talent in the world means nothing if you're not available.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And the thing is too, if they start cracking down on it now as a player, you're not going to say, "Oh, I'm going to sit out to rest." You're going to say, "Oh, I tweaked my ankle. Mm-hmm. I'm a healthy scratch or whatever." Or yeah. They'll come up with a different reason so that it doesn't look bad in the press, but it's the same answer.
Yeah.
Same results.
We'll see what happens with Kyrie Irving because, he, again, another poster boy for missing a lot of games, and he's up for a contract this year. So I think this is going to be a record-breaking contract. This is going to be one that's going to change the tide of the NBA.
You think he's going to get a big contract or a small one?
I think he'll get money. It's about will he get years. I don't think he's going to get the 4 or 5 year contract that he wants to get. Nobody wants to commit to him for that long because people have gotten burned for that in the past. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? So, again, in this NBA, I mean, the Brooklyn Nets are the walking example of I demand a trade. Trade me.
Yeah.
Like what? You don't get to decide that. You know what I mean? So at what point does the owner have the rights? You know what I mean? Like if you're a player, I guess what you're saying, like you're an asset, so to speak. Like, yeah, you're a person, I get it, but you're a person who's making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So don't cry to me about you being unhappy. Oh, I just want to win. Well, were you unhappy when you signed? When you cashed your last paycheck that we just sent to you? You know what I mean? You suck it up and you make it work. And I think that just comes down to the work ethic of, I don't want to say society today. I don't want to like paint that broad brush on everybody, but I think that's part of it. I think that gradually over time, if you go back to the 50s and 60s, again, different time, but even like the blue collar workers that are out there, I don't know if you work with a lot of say 20-year-olds at your job or whatever it is, but I would question to say, is their work ethic the same as maybe yours were when you were a 20-year-old, when you were young and hungry trying to get a job, like, and it's not just their fault. That's just the way that society is and how they are coaching these,
It's a much different time because we have social media now, and everyone's opinions matter a little bit more than they used to matter. So if a 20-year-old, whatever is an example you used, goes on and speaks about harsh work conditions of their employer, their place of employment, it's going to draw a reaction that might cost the owner some money. So owners now have to care. They're forced now to care a little bit more about what individuals think, whereas at a previous time, individuals, it didn't matter. I mean, they were fighting to just get
no one was going to the press
to just get a union. You don't need the press anymore. The press is in your pocket.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
You can say whatever you want, and so because individuals now have more of an opportunity to shape public opinion, which impacts the bottom line, that now gives individuals more power. And in the same way, because if your favorite player talks negatively against the organization and the million followers on Twitter get on and speak negatively or choose to not support the organization anymore based on this player's comments, well, now the organization is in big trouble.
Or other players don't want to come there.
Exactly.
If someone comes out and says, well, they don't
this is a toxic
have towels
environment
in their locker room,
right?
Or whatever. Yeah.
Incompetent leadership. Who wants to come to that? So now the organization has to acquiesce to the players a little bit more. So again, I do support player empowerment. I think that we have to find a middle ground to where the fans are getting, because the fans are going to always give their all to the players. Players, do whatever you got to do with the ownership, but you got to give your all to the fans because we're the ones who put you where you are right now.
Yeah. No, that's I think it's definitely a debate that I don't know how quickly it'll get resolved, if at all.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right?
Yeah. Man, we've been doing this for a long time. It's back and forth about sports. And
Yeah, we have. I mean, I won't get into the the Kaepernick days. I mean, that's going to be a whole different situation there.
Ooh.
But anyways, so
Anyway.
all right, so to get back on slightly track here. So we talked about a handful of things here, and I think that up and coming, what I'd like to do is we can pinpoint some of these topics, and we can. I think there's a lot of things we can break down deeper if we need to. You know what I mean? So, for now, listen, man, it was awesome having you here. I think one of the things that we'll do is, your bread and butter and my bread and butter, because this is the career we work in, is, technology.
Right.
And I think some of these things here, I have something we didn't even get to, but I wanted to talk about, I love like smart home technology, and I would love to dive deeper into that. And I think that you'd be a good candidate to do that. So maybe that's something we can get going.
Yeah, absolutely.
at some
And
point.
that's actually something that have something in the works in the lab. Going to be putting some content out, hopefully in the near future, regarding smart homes for beginners. A lot's happened in the Internet of Things world. Everything has a Wi-Fi signal now in your house. It's not just your phone. It's your washing machine.
That's
it's
right.
your refrigerator. It's your stove. It's the most mundane things, and I think a lot of people don't have a lot of information about it. So I'm going to start putting some content together for
Did you say stove?
your stove. Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, though they definitely have a smart microwave, which I don't understand. How does a
I've
smart
seen the smart fridge, but that's where the
No,
line ends.
they have stove, they have microwave. I haven't seen dishwasher yet, but I'm sure it's there.
So, you know what? Someone just invented it 2 seconds ago.
Pay me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna start putting some content together to kind of help the general person who's wants to be able to turn their lights off with their voice. Back in the day, those clap-on commercials.
Clapper, yep.
Right, we've evolved from there. So I have a lot of smart home technology in my house, and maybe I can help somebody else. So hopefully by next time I'll have some more for that. So
So you're looking to do a video, like a YouTube style?
yeah, I think so. Gonna do some technology review and also maybe some tutorial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're always welcome back on here, and we can talk about things, hype it up a little bit, see whatever we can do. I think that'll be fun because I'm a big fan of those things. So when that's ready, let us know. So this is what we'll do. So we'll keep everyone posted on what Tim's up to. If you check the notes from the show below, if you're listening now, if you want to get in touch with Tim for any reason, you can. We're going to get that in there. So Tim, you have your Instagram. Is that what you want to roll with?
Yeah, sure. We could use my Instagram. It's my personal Instagram. There's nothing fancy on there. See pictures of my wife and kid.
Nice.
But
nice.
it's One Love. It's spelled WHON #1 LOVE.
Perfect. I'm going to put that link below so you can click and follow and share some interesting stories if you want. I'm sure Tim would love to hear that. Anyway, man, listen, it was awesome having you on. I got one more thing I want to do with you here.
Of course.
And I didn't tell you about this because this is one of these little secret things I try to hide away.
Oh boy.
But I'm going to hit you with a couple of quick questions, if you will.
All right.
It's going to be basically, I'm going to give you 2 choices, and there's no rhyme or reason behind it. We'll just rapid fire through it, and we'll see what you think.
All right.
All right. You prefer carpet or wood?
Wood.
You play air guitar or air drums?
Air drums.
You like gummy worms or gummy bears?
Ooh, gummy worms.
Sweet or unsweet tea?
I don't like sweet tea.
So
I don't like any tea.
no tea. Okay. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Friends or Seinfeld?
Seinfeld.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
You like pizza or tacos better?
Pizza.
All right. Pens or pencils?
Pens.
Spring or fall?
Spring.
Spring. All right.
But my birthday's in the fall.
Too late.
But it's warmer in the spring.
Spring is locked in. Nice. Cool, man. Listen, it was awesome having you here. So thanks, everyone, for checking out Casual Nonsense.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, man, anytime. And we'll do it again for sure. If anyone has any questions, or any concerns, you know how to find us. All right. Thanks, y'all.